Hey everybody, Matt here from Matt's Movies, Music and More, welcoming you to this week's movie review. The movie that I'm going to talk about today is a movie that I picked partly because of the history of the movie, which I've heard influenced a filmmaker that I'm a huge fan of. So the movie I've chosen to talk about is the 1991 comedy movie Slacker, which is written, directed and starring Richard Linklater. Now, that name rings a bell to you because Richard Linklater is a very, very famous film director now who's gone on to make movies like Dazed and Confused, and he's gone on to make mainstream films including the Before Sunrise and Sunset movies with Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and also he had done the Jack Black movie School of Rock, and also the animated movie A Scanner Darkly as well, to name a few. So he's held in high regard as being a very, very out there and very experienced film director. Now, Slacker, which was his first real big mainstream movie, although it was a movie that he financed himself. I believe it only cost $23,000 to make this movie, but it's a really, really weird one for me to describe. So to be honest, this review is going to be relatively short. It really focuses on a whole bunch of 30-somethings, because the movie starts with the Richard Linklater character, who's this guy who gets a lift from the airport in a taxi and gets dropped off somewhere, and he's talking to the taxi driver about all these alternate universes and multiple choices that he could have. But then as soon as he gets out of the car, it then goes and focuses on another character. And then the whole movie, which is 100 minutes, this film is, it goes from character to character to character to character. So you don't stay with the same character for very long. So it's a very confusing and very talkative movie. So it's a comedy. None of these characters actually have any names, really. It's more a case of they've been given names given the scenarios that they're involved in. But it's a really, really weird movie. I suppose it's groundbreaking for what it is, but I'll be honest with you, it didn't set the world on fire for me, really. I really found it difficult to follow. I zoned out a few times actually trying to watch this and get through it because I just found it really slow. And maybe that's just because it's me. That's probably what I'm into, really, to be honest. But I will talk about the reason why I picked to talk about this movie. The reason is I'm a huge fan of the filmmaker Kevin Smith, and I know quite a lot about Kevin's career and the way that he was brought up watching movies and stuff. And I remember seeing when he said in the documentary, he said the movie that changed his life was the film Slacker, which he went and saw at the cinema, and he said it changed his life because he saw that this movie could be made for this amount of money. So he decided to try and make a movie himself for about similar sort of amount, and he eventually did it. And he made that film, Clerks, in 1994, and that film would change his life. He now went on to go and do bigger and better movies, the movies with the Jay and Silent Bob characters that he created, and he directed Cop Out with Bruce Willis, and Red State and Tusk, and lots of other great movies. And we really have Slacker to thank for that, because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have Kevin Smith out there. So I'm really happy that I got to check this out. Personally, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but then I suppose it's not aimed at my audience, really, my demographic. I think had I'd seen this and I'd been American and I was living in that area where they made this movie, I think I would have been into it more. But I reckon this would have fitted in well with the whole American alternate grunge scene of the early 1990s, given when it was released. But this was a film that did very well in like the film festivals, and I believe Criterion brought out a DVD Blu-ray release of this in America. But it was relatively successful. It wasn't something that entertained me, to be honest. I got really bored, but that's me, I guess. So if you like something that is different and very dialogue heavy, this movie is really very dialogue heavy because nothing really happens. It just goes from one character to another. You'll probably like this. It's got funny lines here and there, but it doesn't stand out loud. I mean, one of the memorable scenes in the movie is there's this character who claims to be walking around with something which I had no idea what it actually was, which was she claims to have a jar which has Madonna's pap smear in it, which I had no idea what pap smear was until I looked it up, and I think pap smear is basically shit. So I think she was claiming that she had Madonna's shit in a glass, something like that. So other than that, I can't really remember anything much about the movie, so I'm really sorry that I let you all down with this review. But I'm sorry if I've slagged anyone off that likes Slacker, but for me, it just wasn't something I enjoyed, so I'm really sorry. So hopefully the next video will be a bit more of an up one on my part. So thanks very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put some comments down there. Tell me what you think of Slacker, if you enjoyed it or if you didn't enjoy it. And check out the Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. It will tell you all the upcoming and all the previous videos that we've done on this channel as well. So thank you very much for everybody, and all the very best to you. See you.